I always just say something embarrassing. Yep, we've got the red button of liveness. All right, everybody, welcome to the Data Center News Show. Major announcements before I let Andy, who is our sponsor of our show, speak. We hit our 250,000th view of this show last week. So,
bravo, Amy.
I know. It was, and it was the funniest thing ever because I was just like, I just wonder. I wonder how many people have seen the show. So I had to go back for a year, every week, every year, counting it all up in my little spreadsheet, and I was like, holy shnikes, that's pretty cool.
Congratulations. I think it's the quality of your guests.
It is. It's totally hey, me. Totally the quality of my guests. No, it's very, very cool. All right. Well, hopefully we're supposed to talk data centers in space, and hopefully our man of the hour will show up here. But in the meantime, it's always got plenty of people on this show to talk about stuff. So let's get started. And I will give the other man of the hour, the sponsor of the show, Mr. Erda, a chance to introduce himself because you might have to bow out. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, I'm Andy Erda. I'm VP of Marketing for LS Electric. Been there about 8 years, and we're having dramatic growth, especially in data centers. In fact, we were at IEEE this week. The show wraps up in about an hour and a half. I excused myself early so I could do this show since it's a very important show. We're very happy to sponsor it. So, and all I could say is I'll be posting some stuff on LinkedIn about the show. One of the areas that we haven't really been apt to go after in the US is high voltage. So we actually debuted our brand new dead tank breaker, which is a 365K, and that will ship in about 20 months. So we'll probably have we're already signed up for another 50 by 60 booth for Atlanta for the next IEEE show. So we're actually just can't explain what the quality of meetings we had at the show was wonderful. And I shared with Amy that we actually got a $70 million medium voltage 37 kV order breaker order for a customer. That's actually going to pay over $1 million to expedite it because the company that I won't disclose because I don't want to throw any competitors under bus could not deliver that they had originally given the order to, couldn't deliver. So we're gonna
Congrats.
jump through a bunch of hoops in Korea and get them over here before the end of the year even. So that's pretty cool.
Bravo.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Congrats, man. That's
$1 million motivation. Love it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like hurry
I
up.
think it's actually I heard 1.2 or 1.4 is what the
Nice.
air freight charge is going to be, which is just crazy in my mind. But that's the world we
Cool.
live in with data centers, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. I'm gonna be that company that delivers. I mean, well, I'm sure they're not making. Can you imagine the fuel costs are probably going up? They're probably losing money on that 1.2 to 1.4.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they factored that in.
Price of jet fuel. Yeah, price of jet fuel's through the roof, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
for
might
sure.
be the reason why it's so expensive. It probably went up by like $500,000 from 3 months ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, yeah. Thank you. Howie.
Hey, thank you. Howard Berry, Avison Young. I run the National Data Center Platform at AY, a team of skilled real estate brokers that have all worked in the data center industry. Call me anytime.
All right. And Joshua.
Joshua Feinberg from DCSMI, the Data Center Sales and Marketing Institute, and the Data Center Go-to-Market podcast, helping commercial teams modernize their go-to-market strategies to stay relevant in an increasingly marketing and sales allergic world.
Sales allergic. I love that phrase. Sales allergic. It's awesome.
I'd rather talk to the bot.
Yeah, exactly.
Get me ChatGPT on the phone.
I know, exactly. I know. All right, Sean.
Hey everyone, Sean Farney, VP of Data Center Strategy, JLL, hot off of our JLL Data Center Forum in Nashville last week and ConnectX in Fort Lauderdale this week. All kinds of great stuff going on, and wonderful to see the continued absorption of yet another industry, telecom, into data centers.
Yeah, for sure, right? All right. And Marty.
Fantastic. And yes, you can call Howie at 3 a.m. He will pick up. He's
Yep. Cool.
Marty Rankus with Johnson Controls. I lead our data center infrastructure services business. I'm mostly focused today on building on-site power and also heat recovery. So we're doing heat recovery systems to capture the exhaust heat from on-site power and turn it into chilled water. So you can turn 20% of that power back into token generation and not generate chilled water. So great to be on.
All right. Awesome. I'm trying to find our guy, but let's talk about other topics. Let's talk. There's a couple of things that we are exploring, and so we can talk about this. So on the water side, because I survived, y'all. I went to a community meeting in Caldwell County, Texas, and the room was packed. I sent a picture on LinkedIn. The room was packed. I was asked to go on a Sunday afternoon, and the panel, everybody on the panel were community activists. They didn't have one data center person there. It's supposed to be like this fair and balanced. We're going to have a fair and balanced discussion. Then any data center people there. And it was definitely interesting. And so, yeah. Can you imagine me staying quiet?
Yeah, good for you standing up, Amy. And how interesting. What were some of the things you heard from them that were like maybe misinformation, if you heard something?
The one of the biggest things is that why aren't data centers disclosing how much they're using? And that was like one of the big things that they wanted. And I was like, but they wanted it up front. And so I kept going, I can't tell you how much water we're going to use until the tenant comes in and gives design.
And sorry, I stay out of this because I guess I'm too close to it and too passionate about it, but I can hand you a basis of design 2 years before we go into production and say, here's our WUE. It's much more efficient than that golf course down the street. And here is my particulate emissions because it's a EPA tier 4 site. And I'll tell you what I'm doing to scrub. Here's my PUE, and it's much more efficient and uses less power than all the air conditioning in your town that you're just blowing through your house. It's like, so we can, and we had a great workshop last week in Nashville about this. We're, as an industry, pardon my French, we kick ass. We do this better than anyone else. We're just not telling the story. So yes, great job, Amy, getting out there to tell the story. We just need to tell the story. We have all the facts, and the opposition has zero facts. I know, because there's many, many well-funded organized groups here in Wisconsin that are just operating under just either egregiously wrong, made up, or really old ideas from like circa 1990s, early 2000s, the way we used to do MEP. And every single provider out there, when you get a cut sheet on a facility, will tell you all of this stuff and can tell you exactly what they're building and what it looks like. So we have this stuff, and I think it's just outrage culture. They don't want the truth; they just want to have something to complain about. But we are at the beginning of fighting this stuff with truth, and it will set us free.
Yeah, but for me, or the early on development, the developer person, like when you get like Amazon to come in, they'll tell you exactly what they're going to build and what they're going to do and whatever it might be initially on, and they're typically doing this stuff, but early on development stuff, I can't tell you. Like, until I know who I'm selling the damn thing to, I can't tell you how much water they're going to use, but they're going to want to know. That's what what they were demanding. And I'm okay with transparency. I don't think it's a big deal. But they just felt like everything was very cloak and dagger. And that was one of the things. Oh, the other thing was, we heard the livestock. The noise kills cows. And that was really good. And then we caused cancer, and I could not visibly, I had the worst poker face ever. Like, y'all can all play poker with me. You'll win $1 million because I suck. I can't keep it in. And so I was just like visibly going, what the hell? It was nuts. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It was a packed house though. It was, I mean, people have very interesting views on what that is. So, and the man of hour, look at y'all, the man of the hour showed up.
My apologies, everybody. I was speaking at another conference. My time went over, and I'm looking at the thing going, oh my gosh. So I just ran upstairs for this. My sincere apologies for being late.
Slow down. It's all good, buddy. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you. We were just talking
And
about
you're live.
community. Exactly. And you're live.
Yep.
Welcome. If I did not warn
Thank
you, you're live. But and we were just talking about, I was at this community meeting, and guess what came up at the community meeting was, why aren't we sticking these things in space? Why do we have to put them down here and take all our farmland? Like, no joke, it came up at this community meeting that I was at, where I was telling them that I survived. I was like, I was surprised after I got up, my car didn't get keyed. I was like, or my tires slashed. I don't know, but they would like follow me out to the car. But it was actually not bad. It was not bad. All right, he's here. Hey, Chris, why don't you introduce yourself, sir?
Thank you very much. I am the very ashamed and very late Chris Stott. I'm the founder and chairman of Lone Star Data Holdings. We actually put data centers in space. We put 4 up ready. Bunch of test flights, and our first operational mission goes to low Earth orbit in October.
Awesome.
That's cool. That's awesome. So the original ones you put were on the moon, right? That's where they went. And so now you're going to stick them in.
2 on the moon, but look who's counting.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. Exactly. 2 went on the moon. Okay. Very, very cool. And then, so what is the goal, is to put them in orbit more than putting them on the moon?
Oh, both. So what's happened is we do data storage. So that is our focus: disaster recovery, continuity of operations, command and control, mission critical data and backup, from managed encryption key storage for any of the hyperscalers if they're using them, any work that way, any regulated industry, and then also actual storage for mission critical data, your worst day scenario stuff. And we started
Disaster
off by
recovery.
yeah, that's it. I mean, I wish the world was a nicer place. And this most incredible asset that we have, data, needs protecting. And as you saw, I'm going to get my thing here, 67 days ago, hybrid warfare went to direct warfare on data centers. Amazon Web Services still on a hard down in UAE. That's what we protect against. And then 2 to the moon. And then but the customers wanted us to move faster. Never a bad thing. And so we're putting them around the Earth and Earth orbits. And we're also then going back to the moon. We're doing as much as we can, trying to get as much storage up there as possible.
Hey, Chris, what's your vehicle up to space? Are you using SpaceX or?
Yeah. Oh, so all of our flights so far have been on SpaceX, Falcon 9s from Cape Canaveral. And the one we're launching on is Transporter 18 Falcon 9 from Vandenberg. Yeah, they're actually a fantastic provider. Great people.
Yeah, they seem to be. And
highly recommend buying their shares.
I guess no one's breaking into your data storage place up on the moon, right? So
exactly, it's a little hard to. Yeah, fantastic physical security, and then the radio frequencies we use and the encryption that the customers encrypt. We encrypt the modulation scheme. We have help from the governments on anti-tamper. It's safer than the Earth. Putting it in low Earth orbit, it's safest around the moon, and eventually we want to go back inside the moon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I could just imagine Guardians of the Galaxy and somebody going and hacking in your stuff. Like, that's what it's going to take. But that's just where I go to, because
we keep a close eye on Tom Cruise.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's super cool. So, what were the challenges? And y'all, this is free forum, so anybody can ask any questions. You know me. What were the challenges on your, like, what you're seeing now in your first deployment versus what you're seeing today? I'm assuming some have remained, some have changed, but what do you? And then everybody's thinking, what does it look like from having a bunch of compute in space? Because apparently Elon wants to stick a terawatt up there, or I don't know what he's doing, but yeah,
no, absolutely. So the challenges for us, first of all, it was the software. I mean, because you're using software and you're running systems on delay tolerant networks. We had to work with a lot of teams to develop. You're not using TCP/IP, it times out, which is a good thing for security. and then no brute force attacks, etc. So the software, that's what we flew on the space station twice. We worked with Canonical Ubuntu and created a software-defined data center that can run on any device anywhere. And then we did the hardware too. We tested out the solid-state drives, the SSDs. We put 8 terabytes on the last lunar mission. And the chips. You want to make sure they're okay for radiation. You want to make sure that they can operate that. We can operate them safely with the time lag. It's 1.5 seconds each way for the moon. Why the moon? Super safe, super secure, and super hard. We did the hard things first. And so that was it there. And then, like any business, finance, you want to scale out and do your funding raises and everything else. But public domain, I can actually tell you really why Mr. Bezos and Mr. Musk and Mr. Altman and Mr. Huang and Mr. Schmidt and a couple of others are putting AI training and inference data in space. You want to talk about that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would love to talk about
Because we're like a little bank. Like we're just the bank.
First of all, did you say it's 1.5 seconds from the moon to the Earth? Like that's it?
That's it.
All right. Keep going.
Right. So, and in cyber terms, that's a lifetime, right? But yeah, no. So you could sit here and go click on the button, and 1, 2, 3. You've gone to the moon, you've processed, and you've come back. Latency is interesting. Milliseconds from low Earth orbit as well. And so it's fascinating. So we do storage. Think of us like the world's first data bank. We're built on the model of the Rothschilds. Different banking houses looking after data. This incredible thing. Others can go mine the gold in the hills. We'll happily provide the picks and shovels. That's what
Chris, did
But
that?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask how the announcement last week that NASA and SpaceX were going to deprioritize the International Space Station with the idea to colonize the moon within the decade for the U.S. to presumably get there before China. Is that impacting any of your timeframes or any of the companies you work with timeframes in terms of reallocating resources, or was it anticipated?
Oh, anticipated and welcome. And it's awesome. Yeah, because we just ran our test on the space station, so it was awesome. But my wife, full disclosure, is a retired NASA astronaut. She flew twice to the space station, spent 104 days up there, spacewalker, and built it.
Fantastic.
And so, yeah, no, I'm very into, and I used to provide comms when I was at Lockheed through the TDRS system and DSN for all of these systems. And intriguing. Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, so, well, space stations are at the point where they can now be mature and commercial in low Earth orbit. We don't need the government to do that. It can still be a customer, great customer. No, we need to focus on the moon. Absolutely. We've been in the wilderness for our 40 years and we need to go much faster. China's figured it out. We've figured it out. We just never had the political push to do it. The moon is the Rock of Gibraltar. You control the moon, you control the Earth. Please understand that. It's more than the ultimate high ground. With directed energy, there's plenty of energy up there. Rare earth minerals are not rare. They're not Earth up there. They're everywhere. But from there, you can shoot down every satellite. You can literally hurl rocks at every country. China wants to get there first and do that to us. We want to get up there to stop them from doing it to us or anyone else. It is worse than the first space race, and it's full on, and we have to move faster. Otherwise, I'm an American citizen by choice, and I'm good at English. I can barely speak French. Mandarin, no way can I learn Mandarin. I am not going to do well in a labor camp. I'm really not. So we have to win this, guys. Please.
So, Chris, was this because you said I'm going to tell you the reason why Sam and Elon and all these guys, Jeff, are in the space race? Is that the reason? Is this
part of it? Yeah, part of it is preserving democracy and civilization. Please understand that the wealthiest human beings in the world, thankfully, all read the same sci-fi, and thankfully, all actually believe in democracy and a republic and freedom.
Yeah.
Right. One of them sleeps under his desk to try and make this happen. Right. So there's that. That is a part of it. And they're openly talking about that. Jeff, since he was 17 in high school, in his valedictorian speech to Elon, they all talk about this. It's amazing. Right. But the reason why they're doing AI training and inference in space, because it makes them more money and costs them less money, and they get more market reach.
Well, we certainly don't have to worry about cooling, do we?
Right. Exactly. That's
power.
Controls.
You lost a job, Johnson Controls. You have to, wait, how long? What's the life expectancy on the data center on the moon? Obviously you don't have remote hands, and I imagine you run idle unless you ramp up a request. But what's? Oh yeah, absolutely. Lights out operations. Very much like we're used to putting satellites up the last 15 to 20 years. Then you obsolete yourself out on the tech. So yeah, no robotics and just replacing them and like normal stuff and planned obsolescence, just like a regular depreciation rate. And like How quick can you depreciate a data center on the moon?
Oh, every 5 years.
Every 5 years.
Yeah. But the nice thing is, so and the ones in orbit too. And so, like,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
here's
okay.
what's,
That's a good point.
Yeah, so here's what's, yeah,
Right.
right. Because you can't leave them up there, because then you've got iPhone 1 and everyone's on iPhone 20, and you just don't have the capacity anymore. So you've got to have planned obsolescence and modular, which you can do with satellites, and they do that with Starlink today. All right, so please tell me if I've got this right. I keep hearing this from the data center world and our colleagues there. Rule of thumb: the capex for building a data center, not one of these big AI training things, but a regular, normal, modern model electronics, a normal data center, the capex is equal to the first year's OPEX because of the cost of power. In general, rule of thumb. Yay, nay?
No.
All right.
Well, it depends. So what do you find as capex? Because the most that you will spend in a data center is on the racks and servers. It's on the IT.
Mhm.
So that's like 2/3 of your cost.
Mhm.
Is that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking the
So-
gray space and the white space, the power, the comms, the cooling, all the energy for that.
Yeah. So, no, the OPEX one, well, not in a year, I don't believe.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Yeah, I'd probably say the capex is a bit higher than the OPEX, but
Okay.
it's not. You're
Yes.
not too far off, Chris.
There we go. Right. Thank you. I mean, so getting almost there, like rule of thumb, not almost there, right? Not too far off.
Yeah.
So then you want to go build these AI training and inference data centers that need a lot more power. Meta sites, that one in Mississippi, I think it is, one of the 5 they're building is 5 gigawatts, and the building is bigger than the island of Manhattan.
Yeah. That's
And I'd
right.
suggest that we're still going to get to a 10 gigawatt site first, sooner, and then we'll probably have terawatt sites and nuclear power down here on the ground. We used to build data centers where the people were. Now we build them where the power is, like Stargate and Abilene. And then when you go to space, yeah, it's but the cost of getting to space has come down radically. It's not just very expensive anymore; it's just expensive, not very expensive.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference, right? And once you're up there, you're using, in essence, with shielding and radiation protection, the same electronics that you're buying on the ground. And yet your operational expenditures are fundamentally different because you've got the uninterruptible power source of the sun giving you free solar energy.
Okay.
And you've got free natural cooling using radiators. Now, a lot of engineering to do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there isn't. There is. Our stuff, we're at like half a petabyte is 100. We're good, right? And when we put up 100 petabytes, it's a kilowatt of cooling. We're okay, right? It's actually not bad. But if all of a sudden you've got, say, 97% less OPEX than your competitor on the ground, that's one, because you're not paying for power or cooling on the operational side, right?
Right.
All right, so that's one. And number two, you've got a beautiful view up there, a stunning view up there, right? And so all of a sudden, you can now service a global marketplace. Now you've got data sovereignty issues you've got to get through, and that's doable.
All right.
Mhm.
What we do too, we do that. We build data embassies in space using space law. Space law is very different, highly regulated. But all of a sudden, you can now provide service to a country that can't put a 5 gigawatt site in, or to a community that isn't on the grid. Basically, you can provide service to the entire planet. So your marketplace goes instantly global. You've got massively reduced costs. And your biggest cost is going to be launch. And yet, when you look at who's doing it, you've got Mr. Musk at SpaceX. He owns the rights. You've got Mr. Bezos at Blue Origin, his incredible company too. Both of them are amazing, by the way. I mean, thank you, America, for having these two guys in it. And he's got his own rocket company, Blue Origin. Mr. Schmidt just bought Relativity Space, a rocket company.
Right. That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you seeing a pattern here? Right, and it's really interesting. And the big thing in the
So
satellite.
you don't think it's because it's the latest, toy that the billionaire can own? You think there's actually strategy behind it? Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh, I know, right? You might think, yes, they're not just yes, yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, I look at these.
Power is a big driver of it, right? So
Yeah.
we're having harder and harder time finding powered land, unless you call Howie, of course. But that's certainly a huge driver. Chris, you said the latency between the moon, if you're storing on the moon, is about 1.5 seconds up and then back down. And what's the orbit, low Earth orbit is much lower latency, isn't it?
Oh, milliseconds. Yeah.
Milliseconds.
Milliseconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can then, and a big thing in the space world today is, and by the way, high latency equals high security. We're data storage. We're a bank vault. We
Right.
don't want people shooting in and out and doing things, right? It's all VPN and encryptions and stuff like that. But there's a big thing in the data center world today, or the satellite world, about these things. Okay. Oop, there we go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people call these smart devices direct-to-device. This is a data center in your hand. The laptop you're using right now is a data center. It's just a small one. Tell me I'm wrong. You've got power, thermal management, communications, processing, storage, all supporting the CPU that's doing amazing things and making us all money. So when they're talking about direct-to-device from Starlink and AST Mobile and all these amazing companies, it's really direct-to-data center. Blue Origin announced about a month ago TerraWave. Doesn't translate well into non-English speaking countries, as we found out. But TerraWave is terabytes per second, 6 to 7 terabytes per second over RF from orbit to be the data center infrastructure for him to communicate with everyone on the planet. This is not.
Did they acquire a company that had that bandwidth? Is that what they did?
Oh yeah, very close. Actually, very, very close. There was a company called there's AWS, Amazon Leo, used to be Amazon Kuiper.
Right.
And Amazon Kuiper, now Amazon Leo. They acquired Globalstar, one of the original satellite phone companies.
That's right.
Spectrum is everything. By the way, we have a beautiful Spectrum filing too for the Moon, commercial one. We love it. Spectrum is everything in space. Hardest thing about getting to space is getting permission. But there you are. You've got these guys doing direct-to-device, but this is not to replace terrestrial data centers. This is really important.
Yeah.
Right? This is to complement them. This is to make everything work together. It's really important to understand that. You're going to have hybrid networks. This is a layer of data infrastructure for the human race that carries into the next century.
This is the Dyson swarm, but it has nothing to do with vacuum cleaner.
Yes, thank you. Yes, very much. Yeah, this is game
Party coming up with fun things to talk about.
Right?
Look at that.
So,
Isn't it fascinating?
let's
There's real logic
it is.
behind it.
So let's talk about the biggest, or the thing that people say that the data center industry has to get over in putting data centers in space, which would be the heat, exhausting the heat, or what that looks like. And so I'm assuming, since you're sticking them up there, that people have figured it out. But what is the heat just goes into space, into the vacuum? Or it
Yeah, I
doesn't
can
go?
tell you that. Yeah. No, Amy, I mean, it's a really good point, because I mean, that's the first question always. And second one's always radiation. No, absolutely. So we've been flying satellites. We as a species have been flying satellites in space for 69 years this October. Sputnik went up in 1957.
Right.
We have learned a lot on how to manage thermal management in space. Those big geostationary satellites that do TV and internet, high throughput satellites and all that kind of good stuff, they're in sunlight 23 hours and 45 minutes a day. Which means they're in positive 250 degrees Celsius sunlight. And the part of the spacecraft that is in shade and shadow that's not in the sun operates at minus 200. Up on the space station, you're doing in the lap of the Earth every 90 minutes, you've got 45 minutes of daytime, 45 minutes of nighttime. And when you look at the picture of the space station, you see those big, massive football field size solar arrays, solar powered, awesome. And in the middle where the habitation modules are, you see these big corrugated things, the big radiators. Because there's no, obviously, vacuum in space, there's no up or down, there's no microgravity. So hot air doesn't rise, right? There is no air to rise. And so how do you keep things cool? You don't use fans, you don't use moving parts. You use conductive cooling to radiators. And then when you radiate that out, you're actually radiating out to deep space at 0.2 Kelvin. When we did our last one up to the moon last year, we had heaters built inside the data center. We had a small data center designed by Björk Ingels. It was really cool. We had heaters inside to keep it warm enough. It's a totally flip around on the conversation. It's fascinating. So you got to go. And for when there's people involved, like when my wife goes out on EVA, the human body, by the way, we give off a lot of BDUs. We give off a lot of heat with animals, right? A lot. So that spacesuit isn't just keeping her safe from the vacuum of space. It's keeping her cool from her own body heat. Same on the space shuttle. When the payload bay doors opened, when they first lifted off, after they got to space, That was so the radiators could radiate the heat from the electronics. If those doors didn't open, they had to come back at an emergency dive back to Earth because they would cook themselves and the electronics.
So
There's
heat
no
is a-
humidity,
is a big
right?
challenge.
Yeah, no humidity, totally dry.
No
my gosh,
humidity,
dry.
absolutely dry. I guess that wouldn't be static. I don't know. It's interesting. Never thought about
Well,
it.
no,
that
you
way.
have, yes, you have to be careful. You've got atomic oxygen in low Earth orbit.
Right.
I mean, technically, our atmosphere goes almost out to the moon. It goes in and out like an ebbs, like a tide. Earth magnetic fields.
Huh.
But if you're up at 400 miles up, where the space station is, and some of these satellites are Starlinks, look, there is atomic oxygen, which it is corrosive. You do get the sun beats every 11 years, like a heartbeat, Maunder cycles, some big ones after that. But so that's a solar cycle. So the atmosphere expands and contracts. So that puts drag on your satellites and pulls them down faster. And then you've got arcing. You do have to look at electric arcing, atomic arcing too. And so the bigger the solar panels you put up there, you've got to build them very carefully, as we've learned. Otherwise, you do get arcing and power spikes. A lot of energy. Tesla was right. There is so much energy in our atmosphere and our planet, and so much just in near Earth. It's astounding. STS Space Shuttle mission number 75, STS 75, had a tethered power thing. They were putting it out on a power spike to see how much, right, on a tether. So much energy came down that power spike, it blew the wires. Thankfully, otherwise the shuttle would have blown up. And it was completely unexpected. It was like one of those, like you see in the movies, like Tesla moment, like Tesla, surrounded by energy and beaming energy. Yes, we really are. We have yet to tap into that. But yeah, radiation. Got to look at radiation all the time. Solar radiation, cosmic ray events coming in. You have RAID protocols. You've got bit flips. You've got to be careful on that. So FPGA chips, field programmable gate arrays, so you can reset the gates. Couldn't do that in the 1960s. We can do it now.
Yeah.
And if you
Chris,
listen, sorry, yeah, go for it, please.
I was going to say that it's interesting because they say there's 12 to 13,000 satellites orbiting our Earth right now, active satellites, maybe 40,000 things in orbit right now, they estimate. But I found it interesting that 10,300 of those satellites are Starlink.
Yes,
of the
very
12
much.
to 13,000. Like, holy cow. How much does it cost to launch? One launch?
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing, right? And so when I started off life, I was very fortunate to work for McDonnell Douglas on the Delta II and Delta IV launch vehicle programs. I loved it. Great people. And we thought we were really amazing because we were charging about $100,000 a kilogram. And we thought we were the
kilogram. A kilogram.
Hold on, I got to recalculate that.
Yeah.
Drugs were a good business.
Oh my gosh, right? And that's for 8.5 minutes of work.
Wow.
And we were launching satellites like half a ton and a third of a ton, and they were doing amazing things. And we had a backlist. We had a waiting list to launch with us. And then along came because we've had rocket engines for about 100 years. Robert Goddard and his liquid fueled rocket back in the 1930s, von Braun and the others, right? So along came Elon and said, okay, I'm going to do it slightly differently. And he took the price down to $9,000 a kilogram. And then he started doing the reusable flights. And he took it down to $2,000 a kilogram. And now all the others in the industry have to match his pricing.
Yeah.
If they want to win the business. Right? He's got 9 out of 10 launches right now. The French and Ariane.
Exponential improvement. Exponential.
Yeah.
And Starship.
Lucky Andrew doesn't have to ship his transformers to the space.
Right?
For that expedited charge, it'd be pretty pricey. We were just talking. Andrew's got a transformer order, and he's got to ship an extra. Clients paying over $1 million just to get the stuff quicker. Material.
There you go. Well, good
The
point.
medium voltage breakers, which are pretty big, 37 kV. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there you go. So to put one of these things up and build a satellite and get it going, they build one facility out and up and ready up in Washington State builds 5 satellites a day, and that's not Starlink. That's someone else.
Wow.
And so so we're starting to see that mass production point, that Model T Ford moment. Up until now, they were like these beautiful hand-built these things that were like every single amazing car company that used to be in Detroit before Model T Fords came out. And so that's happening.
So what's the total price tag? So if it's 2,000 a gram or kilogram, apologize, because gram would be worse.
That's right.
What does it end up? How much do they weigh? I don't even know.
Oh gosh, an average satellite, depending where it's going and what it's doing. Big satellites, all these different tasks, from weather to satellite TV and internet to Starlink and everything else. So say let's take 100 kilogram satellite. which has
Okay.
everything on power thermal comms, right? And in the old days, the good old days, that would cost 100 times $10 million to launch.
Right. So
And
now you're
today,
down to like 2.
no, so 100 kilogram satellite at $2,000 kilogram.
Oh, 200,000 or whatever. Can I do
Yeah.
that math? Well, it's
It's-
late in the day on Thursday.
Yeah, it's and the thing is too, in the old days, there weren't that many customers. So even if you had this kind of a satellite, you had to buy the whole rocket because there was no one else going to where you were going. Now there's all of these other satellite companies, so you can actually club together like a FedEx
Oh.
to space, and it makes it
I'm
even
sure.
cheaper. Yeah, it makes it even cheaper. It's amazing. So we're seeing a real exponential lift at the production and cost and an approach. Then Starship comes around, you're down to $200 a kilogram. And New Glenn is
Wow.
getting ready to launch again at those similar rates. And then it's like you're off to the races. I mean, it's
Wait,
fantastic.
Starship's going to be 200 a kilogram for Starship?
Yes.
Brilliant. That's just crazy.
Isn't it?
I know. We're all
And
going to
the-
have our own satellites roaming the earth. I might
Yes.
find called a Pink Amy.
Chris, speaking of the democratization of all this as the prices come down, right now we're focusing a lot on national security, but what are the business models going to look like? How close are the companies that are putting these lunar data centers in place to figuring out, is there a version of co-location or public cloud? Will someone be able to eventually have an instance of AWS on the moon or region or something like that?
Yes,
I would-
absolutely. And so for us, for the distance in LEO and around the moon and then in the moon, distance is our friend because we're far away. We can have a line of sight. So that's our business model, is storage. But then when we're there, we have edge processing on board. Of course we do. And we can provide local cloud services to the people who are going up there. And you saw with Artemis 2 a couple of weeks ago, we're actually heading back to settle
Yeah.
the moon. Finally. Yeah.
If you're putting,
imagine-
like, do you need rule? Did somebody like give you permission to be on the moon? Is there somewhere you have to go to do that? Or,
Yes.
oh
yeah.
because are we
Oh,
going to get
there
to a
is?
place where you have to parcelize? I'm putting on my real estate hat. Are we going to have to get like a
Exactly.
title company involved here?
It's your moon title company.
So like
Yeah.
Amazon.
Like, really?
Pretty
Does
much.
Somebody have that? Really? Who has that?
Actually, it's the United Nations. So there's some really cool. So the
Oh.
hardest thing about getting space is getting permission. Occasionally, when they let me out, I go teach international treaty law. I even teach to federal judges, and I teach at various universities around the world, and just it keeps me sharp. Because regulation is everything. It's the longest lead item in anything you do in space. Space is so regulated. You take every law you have in the world and then
Really?
add space on top. And then everything you're doing in space, missile technology, control regimes, outer space treaties, radio regulations. I mean, oh my gosh, HIPAA laws writ large with astronauts. Because
Wow.
you can actually trigger World War III if you're not careful up there. And
Right.
that's
Oh,
been
yeah.
the golden motivation since the beginning of the space age. Only nation states can license you to go. They register with the United Nations on the spectrum, so you have to talk to things so you don't cause interference. And a Franco-Prussian war in the 1870s, Bismarck used the excuse of telegraph poles being messed with by the French to invade France. And then Hitler did something similar with the radio stations in 1939. See a pattern here. So the radio regs have been around for a long time, since the 1800s, to prevent
And
conflict.
have unfriendly states honored these space agreements?
That's the only agreements that they honor, because they
Wow.
need them just as much as we do. I know it's the
Interesting.
one sheriff in town. It's the one.
I know,
That's
right?
pretty
I know.
amazing. Yeah.
But can you imagine, like, if somebody wanted to, took out all the Chinese satellites and you would basically cripple that country, right?
Yes,
Or
and-
ours, right? They take out all of ours
It's like
and
a sure
basically we're-
mutual destruction. Right.
I imagine they have absolute plans to do that to us. In fact, we
Yeah,
know they
oh,
do.
I'm sure. I'm sure they're working on it.
And they've got their demographic issues that they're working through. Well, technically, okay, we're going on a tangent. Technically, China lost World War III in 1979.
Oh, well,
Because-
Mao's one-child
right?
policy.
On
yeah.
what?
Right.
There was a
Mao's-
graphic about that. Their one child policy. Now they're basically not keeping up because they had one. And then they went to 2. Then they were like, it's
Right.
like, why do you have limits? Just let them have 20 babies. Like, you're so far behind, whatever.
It's too late,
Yeah.
right? So the next 24 years, please go check this out. The next 24 years, they are down 400 million people from where they are today, including their attempted increased birth rate. That's what's driving a lot of tension and focus in the world right now, because they don't have enough people right now to fill their cities, their armies, or their factories.
Yeah.
And they know this, and so they're
It's,
playing.
you know,
their
the
card.
weird thing is that Elon talks about this stuff, and I just think he's crazy. Like, what? Like, who cares, right?
Oh,
But
how many
then
kids
all of a
does that?
sudden it comes around, and then it's like, oh, I guess it really matters, Elon.
Yeah. It really does. So we're in decline. Western Europe is in decline. Japan's in decline. The only countries that are really Asia seems to be holding pace on itself. Africa's growing and holding pace, but Mexico and India are the two fastest growing populations.
Yeah. India is the number
Yeah.
one, I think.
Yeah, produces 20% of all the world's data.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't it fascinating? So the world we were taught about at school was maybe not true. The world isn't going to die from overpopulation. We're not going to die from lack of food. We're not going to die. Thank you, Club of Rome, bunch of doomers. And the reality is really quite stunningly different. Still, but different challenges to face. And hence getting the data off the planet, storing it off the planet, getting these infrastructure. By the way, case more for you. Look, they can look this up. About 2 weeks ago, a Chinese startup, public domain and space news, and a couple of others, we've got an $8 billion line of credit to put data centers in space. Now,
hey, there you go.
Now, think of the ramifications. So if you want to put a brand new data center here, well, you're talking 2 to 3 to 4 years on a greenfield site, maybe 2-year turnaround on a brownfield site, right?
Yep.
Always check. UK about 10 years, mainland Europe about 15, if you can get permission. China, 2 months.
No, I know. Last year alone in China, 2025, they built 534 gigawatts of power in one freaking year.
Well, I mean, think about it. You know, who's playing in the
a week.
model space, in the frontier model space? It's China and America. Nobody else. There's no European countries in there, Japan, and because that's where the data centers are, and that's where the power is. So, that's the battle.
Given all those advantages that they have, why are they putting their primary storage and infrastructure in space? It's because they're scared to death about what's happening down here. They know how vulnerable everything is. Well, wait, we have what? A little over 7,000 data centers in the United States here at home?
Yeah,
Little over.
close.
Who knows?
Who knows?
What's the right number?
We have the most. Yeah, we have the
They
most.
do.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And you know, there's websites you can go to and they track the latitude and longitude of every single one of those, and they show every single double trenching for the power and every single double trenching
Right.
and triple trenching
Yeah.
for the cable.
Every
Every single
little
one.
map for you.
Who does? China does?
Oh,
How's that?
yeah. And the public domain maps,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
you can
Whoa.
access. Yeah.
right? And that's how the Iranians got the AWS guys in UAE. Took them straight out.
Knew right where to go.
Yep.
It's public.
And so if you want to
domain.
attack a country or a company, you go for their data. You do a hybrid warfare. NATO now has a hybrid warfare unit. And it's because you hit them with a cyber attack and a physical attack. And you don't even have to hit the tier 4 data center. You just have to do a blitzkrieg and cut it off.
Right.
You just go shut down their cable fiber. They can keep the power. Doesn't do much for them. Just turn off their comms. And they're blitzkrieg. You've isolated them. They can't do anything. So unless you connect to space and you have the backup.
Right. It sounds like
go
the
anywhere in the
economics. Yeah, the economics are going to be there, and it sounds like space data centers in space are a when it's going to happen, not a if it's going to happen. Right.
Exactly. Yes, sir. And then a big thing down here is where do you connect all that data coming to and from? Like a modern day seaport, an airport. Satellites use teleports. This is bigger. This is a data port. This is a data gateway. And where you do that, you lay out those plans now. And oh my gosh, you are the traffic all the way up and down forever.
So does it have to be this data port? Does it have to be some kind of a special data port? It's not just like a Starlink you throw on your roof?
Exactly. Yeah. What you would do is you would take your certain key data centers that you want, that are well powered and well connected, and then you add satellite communications from multiple providers, like having a seaport where everyone could come and dock their container ship and cruise ship. And you just have everything done. You have the local spectrum managed for you. You get all the proper landing rights and market access, so you can connect with anyone up there to do as much data to and from. Some optical sites are always good, high altitude, dry areas, so they're even faster. But yeah, this is first come, first served. This is first mover advantage. Because if you claim that spectrum in your area of a
You're
data
on
center in a state, you're on it. And
Mhm.
and then others cause harms and interfere. They come after you, number two. See, in space, first mover advantage is a real thing.
Mm.
And it's all based on the spectrum, especially down here on the ground. You go past a local TV station, right? And you see all the dishes outside. And then you make, oh, that's right. That's why NBC and CBS and ABC are on different parts of the city. Because if they're all next to each other, they'd all cause interference to each other's satellites.
Right.
Same with data centers. You've got a group of data centers. You get that first, you win. Your competitors lose.
Brilliant.
Isn't it?
Well,
Right.
So there's
we
still
might knock
finite real
ourselves
estate.
out.
Yeah.
We might knock ourselves out because NERC just announced a level 3 warning on transmission. So data centers could knock out all of our transmission power just by
Yeah.
the way,
well,
the
thank
way
you.
our load
That's-
structure.
Well,
You
there's
know,
something else from space that we're talking about too. The space-based solar power. You saw Meta just took a contract with a company to receive it when they pay and play.
Yeah, overview. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think.
So, like I said, outside the atmosphere, solar power is 10 times stronger. We use it to power all of our satellites and data centers, our satellites. I'll show you an image. I've got something to show you. But the other thing there is since the 70s, we've been doing this. It stopped in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. No one knows why. It just stopped. And it's come back to life again. The US Air Force have been doing it. And Caltech have now been doing it. The Chinese are obviously doing it too. There's a couple of British companies doing it. This idea that you just beam the energy back. And it's 24-hour a day because you're outside of the day-night cycle up at that altitude. And it's carbon-free. And you just beam it down. And it's a very tight beam.
I told you.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember I talked about this?
So yeah, I want to talk about it. So like you're like beaming down Scotty Power, but like is it like a laser beam, and then who catches it, and how do you turn it into power? What does that look like?
Yeah, so they use rectangles. So there's two ways of doing it. One is, again, and I love my engineers. I love any engineer in the industry, but sometimes they're not good on naming. They're technically correct. Technically, it's microwave. It's just a different end of the microwave spectrum. It's not the microwave that's going to cook you. They've done this with like little birdies and cattle in fields with iron rods and stuff. And but what you do is it's that you either use microwave or you use laser too, blue laser. You can use red laser carbon, but you get a lot of atmospheric absorption. Yeah.
How efficient is it, Chris? So if you're starting with 1 megawatt of power up in space and sending it down to Earth, do you get 1 megawatt down? Is it?
I don't know, sir. I know that the efficiencies are getting better, and I know it depends on what kind of laser, what kind of frequency, like blue or red laser, or even microwave, how much power. That's all being decided. They've done it though. It works. Caltech have an operational one right now. They'll actually come beam they'll beam power to your data center today.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, you can see that the FAA is going to change all the flight paths where all the stuff is beaming down, right? Yeah.
Oh no, very much. And there'll be environmental concerns. How much is if you're using microwave, are you actually going to be heating the atmosphere as you come through? I mean, there's lots of things to work out, but technically it works. A lot of regulatory issues, but that's amazing. And then you go back to something like Tesla, and it used to be the case. I don't know if it still is, but I remember seeing an article that said Tesla makes more money from carbon credits than it does from selling cars.
Probably.
Right. And then how many carbon credits do you think 1 million data centers in space will make for Grok AI and X? And
I know,
Anthropic
right?
At some point, we'll be stopping that program, just like we
did.
did.
Yeah, I know.
Just like we did with the electric cars. We're like, we're going to stop.
Isn't it interesting, right?
I got my $7,500 on my Tesla. So
there you go.
But I've got a question for you guys then. All right. So you were saying, what challenges are we facing?
Yeah.
I would suggest, because the space industry has a similar challenge. It is when we're so busy doing our work because it's so vital. Our teams, our engineers build and operate, and yet sometimes we don't keep too much of a focus. What we do a little bit more now because of what's in the press. As I join the call, it's almost as like we become the new cigarettes. I'm like, how did that happen? Who's doing this? Why is this happening? Why are we letting it happen?
The space data centers or just data centers in general?
Oh, data centers in general, and then the space data centers. We're being told we're going to mess up astronomy. And I'm pretty sure we won't. We do a lot of astronomy work. However, the time it takes us to stop from implementing mission and turn over here and go, oh, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? No, we did land on the moon. And no, data centers aren't doing that to the environment. Where did you get that from? Modular cooling. Like in Britain, we get this whole thing, using so much water. And we're like all looking around the room going, who's using water? We're using air cooling.
What are you
What the
talking
hell?
about?
Yeah,
Thank
what
you.
are talking about?
Where is
Right.
this coming
Yeah.
from? Talking to a team of guys this morning who actually do disinformation tracking for
Mhm.
governments. It's like who's coming up with these false rumors and all this kind of stuff. And I was saying to them, well, could you actually think about doing this for the data center industry? Because we've got a digital trail on all these people.
Yeah.
Like, so who's doing this? And then how do we? Because it will start to impact us when we go to those local mayors and city
Yeah.
councils and governors and say we want to do this, and they go, data centers are bad. I read this article, and we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. Right.
We've talked about this before in the show. I think there's a certain thinking that, like in the early 1960s, when Walt Disney was trying to develop Florida after it had some success in California, he was known for flying over Central Florida. And for like 2 or 3 years, nobody knew who that buyer was of all the land. It was just disappearing. It would be impossible for someone to do that in the 2020s with Flight Tracker and TikTok and Facebook and everything. So like, I think there's this certain mistrust of people being looped in. And I think sometimes in the case, when developers are trying to move fast, I think there's a lot more opportunity to build bridges with trusted local stakeholders than is currently being done. There's a lot of mistrust of local politicians too. So it's not a slam dunk, but if you look at a spectrum where like the data center developers are not highly trusted at all, and then you go, okay, well, the school board is probably a little more trusted, and teachers are probably a little more. There's different ranges of stakeholders that they could potentially be building bridges with around. Like we were talking about this a week or two ago on this show of the data center developers deciding to take a small piece of a campus and make a data center, education data center, like professional development. 10,000 square feet probably cost $5-10 million to build, $1 million a year to run, and make it a fantastic way for everyone that's complaining that higher education isn't keeping up with this, for the data center industry to say, okay, we have 50 vendors in this hyperscale facility. As a requirement for revenue generation in this hyperscale facility, you must send a solutions engineer for 3 days a year, 5 days a year, whatever. And we're going to teach high school students, college teaching students, teachers, regulators. We're just going to max the heck out of. I think we've been really asleep at the wheel on a lot of this. And NVIDIA and Schneider Electric and Google, they've had some good point solutions on professional development, but it's very, very clear that when people are complaining about the lack of jobs, that there is solutions in the ecosystem, but there's not being enough done to follow through on creating the environment for the 6-figure ecosystem jobs to get created and for startups to be incubated and all the things that would get a community excited more than a hypothetical reduction in taxes and libraries being built and things like that.
I think there's two thoughts on that. Like,
go ahead, Marty.
I was just going to say, one is just human nature's fear of new things. So I think part of that, we're just fighting. It's new. I don't trust it. I don't know it enough yet. So I think we've got that. And then also I've heard people say this. I don't know if I subscribe to this, but if you're a conspiracy theorist, you might be thinking if who controls power, who controls data centers, that's what's going to drive AI. Because right now, as we mentioned earlier, your frontier models are coming out of the States or America because we've got the data centers and the power. So if you were a Chinese person who was going to try to say, hey, let's slow them down. How can we slow them down? And maybe you spread false data. So there's your conspiracy theory for the day.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd say it wasn't a conspiracy. I think that's actually happening.
They could simply use the Gen AI tools and they'd have a better job with the fact checking. Hey, I'm going to a town hall meeting in Crawford, Texas, or Loxahatchee, Florida. It is. What are the questions that I should ask the people on the panel so I actually sound smart and not like an idiot? And they would get reasonable questions.
I had a mayor of a small town in Illinois, population 4,500 people, with an annual budget of $750,000, a very poor community. And he says, we want a data center. I want the tax revenues. I know we're not going to get the jobs in for the data center, but what I do get is I get revenue to hire more people to manage my city. And so it's like they're realizing, hey, look, here's an opportunity for us. And it's a feel good story because, like you said, the data center industry doesn't communicate very well what they're doing.
Yeah. So in Caldwell County, the thing that we just went through, So if you're in Texas, this is just Texas in general. By the way, I'm not sure why you named yourself Lone Star. You're not in Texas.
I can tell you. I will tell you. I will tell you. If you
Why?
want to. But tell me about Caldwell.
Okay. So Caldwell. So basically, and what was happening was all of the politicians were getting voted out because they gave the tax abatements to a data center, right? But if you locate in Texas and you're in the county, there is no zoning, there is no permitting. You can just build whatever the F you want to build, and it can't stop you. And so what they were doing was they were giving you the tax abatement, so you had a development agreement that would allow them to have a little bit of control over what you built, right? So are you using closed loop cooling? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Those kinds of things. So if they didn't give you the tax abatements, they had nothing. They can do anything. And some of the data centers have been like, we don't need your tax abatements. Like, we don't need them. We make so much money, we don't need them. But those people were getting voted out of office trying to do the right thing for their communities by giving the tax abatement. So it was like a catch-22. So he was trying to educate the people in the community. He goes, this is why we do this. This is, you're going to say I'm evil because I'm getting kickbacks or whatever. But that's what. So anyway, it was an interesting meeting for sure. It was an interesting meeting for sure. But they also want the tax abatements because, to Howie's point, they don't know they get all this money and then it causes another problem. And they're like, what the F do we do with it all? And then also based on some of the county regulations, that basically they would have to give the money back to all the residents, which some of they do. So it just depends. So they need time to kind of get their stuff in order. So anyway, there you go. That was my takeaway from that meeting. But go, Chris. So.
Well, no, thank you. No, it's a bit like if you guys be watching Landman, Taylor Sheridan's in the second season now. And in the first season, that John Hamm's character has this big diatribe where he says, everyone in the world uses our product, but they all hate us. And when he was doing this, all I could think about was data centers. And I'm like, we need to be, go get Taylor Sheridan. We need to do something. And we have the same problem in the space industry. Right now, we are using satellites. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. I'm connected to a satellite with you. And yet I get people every day, why are we putting money in space? I'm like, all the money's on the ground. 100% of the money is spent on the ground. We have this whole chip on our shoulders because we were so busy doing it. We didn't go out and communicate to the politicians and the citizens. 100%. And then we get the Chinese and Russians coming in and going, you don't need a space program, we'll do it for you.
Education is the first cousin of trust. And
yes,
that's what I spend most of the time talking about. It's like literally using professional development, learning and development education to achieve the trust. And when you look at the industry categories, career categories on a spectrum, typically local politicians are not highly trusted. Elementary school teachers, nurses, in some cases, first responders, like there's just generally a spectrum of how most people look at the trustworthiness of different kinds of stakeholders. And I think in the rush, the AI arms race that we're going through right now, I think a lot of people have skipped over a lot of what would normally be pretty straightforward initiatives that would just take a little bit of time and really not even be all that expensive. But just in the race to get there first, everyone's completely blowing through all the stop signs and red lights.
Yeah, and it's unnecessary, isn't it? We had a Green Data Center conference, and someone said, "What's more important to you, schedule, cost, or quality?" And they said, "Schedule and quality. Forget the cost."
Schedule.
Yeah.
Time.
And we're going, but you should be doing modular green data centers, and they were like, "We don't care."
Yeah, for sure.
They said, "We'd love to
care."
Well,
look at that, y'all. It's been an hour. These shows go by fast.
As I was a bit late. Amy, can I please just tell you why we're doing Star? Because I'm so proud of it.
Yes.
All right. So when I was growing up, and I grew up in those dark days of the late 60s and early 70s when it was pretty bad overseas. And I saw America as a shining light on a hill, very much. And then President Reagan came in, and I was like, hallelujah. I'm like, this is amazing. This is democracy. This is what it means. And I became an American citizen in July 2009. And when I became American citizen, I was living in Texas, and I called my company Lone Star because of the shining city on the hill, the Lone Star.
He is a Texan. He is a Texan. See?
Yes, Texan.
All right. Okay, fine. But you don't live in Texas anymore, do you?
No, but we have an office in Austin. We do have an office. My CEO, I just hired, Steve George joined us. He's in Austin, of course.
Oh, well, that's where I am.
There you go.
There
We
you go.
should get you guys together. Seriously. But no, I love
Yeah.
Texas. I love America. And I love that frontier spirit. And
Okay.
that's why we're called Lone Star.
Love it.
Okay. All right. I'll forgive you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're funny, but
Sorry.
yeah, let's be your CEO. That would be great. All right, y'all. This has been the Data Center News Show. It's been our hour. We will have next couple of weeks. I'm hoping next week or not, we're going to be talking data center construction, liquid cooling. I see Marty's face all over that one, what that's going to look like, and just more topics. This has been a fun show, and we will see all of y'all next week. Have a good one.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Chris.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
Andy.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Howard. Thanks, Marty. Take care
All
now.
right.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice.